So we have Matt Tommasiello here today. He is a mortgage lender. He's right here in my office. We have some good chats all the time about the current real estate market. And so I figured I'd have you on today and we'd just do a little Q&A and give the people what they want and enjoy a little adult beverage while we do it. And thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. All right. So let's start off by telling the people what company you're with, how long you've been with them, how long you've been into the business.
Yep.
And just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. All right. So with Movement Mortgage, been there for almost 2.5 years now. Have been in the business for a little over 8 years, well, about 8.5 years now. That's it. Lost the fucking train of thought on that one.
And then how did you get into the business?
Oh, yeah, that's a whole different story. So how I got into the business was at a company doing audits at car dealerships. I was doing that for almost 3 years and basically waiting for a position to open up that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Position to open up, I didn't get it. I found out on a Monday. On Tuesday,
some guy named Chad get it?
Probably. On Tuesday, I was out at a bar, saw a buddy who had just gotten into mortgages, said he was enjoying it, hiring, that type of thing. Sent my resume in on Wednesday, and I started 2 weeks later.
Wow.
I had absolutely no idea.
And he told you you'd get Daddy Warbucks money if you stuck with it.
Yeah, it was basically like, hey, I've been in like 6-7 months, making great money. And I was like, this is gonna be easy. This is easy. Everybody makes money.
Willy Wonka chocolate factory, golden ticket.
Yeah, like that was the exact opposite of what happened.
Right.
It was a fucking train wreck.
Oh man.
For like 3 years.
3 years it took you to feel successful.
Yeah, it definitely. Like there were points in there where I had like my parents, most supportive people in the world.
Yeah.
They were like, "Hey, you sure you picked are you sure you're in the right profession?" Like, yeah. So it was up and down, terribly for about 3 years.
And what years did you start in?
2015.
Okay.
So it was, until I would say like around year 3, I felt 2018 or so.
Yeah.
I felt like I actually knew enough at that point.
Yeah.
Like do the job and how to do the job.
Yeah. Confidence is half the battle with this business, So yeah.
Like you can't sit in front of somebody and speak if you
like,
don't actually
people say
fucking
you can fake
believe
it till you make it.
No.
Not in this business at all.
No. Like, and I just spent 3 years.
Yeah.
Just honestly, fucking everything up, getting screamed at every day.
Yeah.
Like I remember talking to my parents, and I was like I could see myself doing this for a year or two, make some money, and go do something else because this is way too stressful.
Wow.
I could never do this long term.
All right.
Now we're almost 10 years later, but it was right around that like 3 to 4 year mark when confidence-wise felt a shift.
Yeah.
And then right around like 2019, like financially started doing better, more consistently.
Yeah. Pay your bills and save money.
Yeah, literally. Like before that, it was like pay my bills 1 month, next month didn't have enough to pay my bills and eat.
Yeah.
It was just that, up and down.
That's
for 3 years.
Real estate in a nutshell, man.
It is.
Yeah.
It is not. I mean, there are people that come in and just crush it from the start.
I don't get that.
That's not me. That's not me.
I don't know if I've ever heard of someone like really truly crushing it. Like they might appear on the surface like they're crushing it, but then you like look at their statistics because like as real estate agents, like I stalk the hell out of other realtors like MLS, and I'm like, how many sales have you actually done? And I'm like, oh man, like this person's struggling. Like they're probably not paying their mortgage and they're making it seem online or when you talk to the people, like they are on top of the world.
No, you're spot on.
Yeah.
So when I say back then I felt like people were crushing it early, it wasn't until you guys have MLS. We don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
it wasn't until last year, the end of 22, that I got access to MMI, which is just like it has aggregated data for realtors and lenders. I got the logins from from my boss's account. Still don't think she knows I have them. But I still have them, but I go on. But when I first got it, I went on. I spent like 5 hours one day. It was a Saturday.
Just
5 hours.
stalking other lenders.
I'm like, Jess, I'm working right now. Like, I'm busy. Like, the kid's crying. I'm like, I'm busy. I'm sorry. And I was just looking up every lender that was posting shit on Facebook nonstop. Like, hey, I'm crushing it. I'm doing great. And it like I was actually angry. I was actually like these people were doing, say, a fourth of what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I was sitting over here like, man, this market's fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like, I'm working harder than I've ever worked.
Oh yeah.
Like, we got the team expenses, all that stuff. Like, we got to keep going. This is hard. And these people made me feel like I was missing something.
Yeah.
I look them up. They're not doing.
Well, that's the problem with
anything.
social media in general right now is like it gives people the, imagination that they either other people are better than them or that they're better than they actually are themselves, right? And they can make themselves be whoever they want to be. And I think that's what I think a lot of people who know me like love about my social media is like I'm real, right? Like I'm not gonna go on there and sling some bullshit. Like, yeah, I'll post my success stories and then I'll talk about businesses that I love and about myself. But like I am not out there being like, I'm a multi-billion-dollar producer and slinging some bullshit because like I'm not gonna fake it. Like, yeah, I do well, but like I'm not a top like the most highest producer in our area,
Yeah, no, well, there's that. You have the people that go on there and do, like, offer accepted or offer out. Wish me
Right.
luck. Offer accepted.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like,
I'll admit I did that
inspection day.
early on in my career.
Like, good
Because
appraisal.
at that point you're just trying to show people that you're doing anything,
Yeah,
right?
no, I get it, but it's like one transaction
You're right.
turns into like 9 posts.
Right.
It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like,
Or they say they like, oh, it's sending out offers, and it's like, but that no offer got accepted ever in 6 months.
yeah,
You just wrote a lot of offers, right?
exactly.
So, and I think people need to understand that, like, do your homework. Like, make sure you understand that the people that you're working with do actual business and not just pretend like they do business. Because it's a lot of us out there who work our asses off and do really well.
Mhm.
And yeah,
I genuinely, in this market today, I don't think it's, since I've been doing this, I don't think it's been more important to have a solid team than right now.
Mm.
Like, if you have you know, I don't want to say newer agent because a lot of newer agents are good, but like a lesser known agent that may not be like as good as they should be.
Yeah.
Or you have a lender that's not on top of things like they should be, an attorney, like all of that. It needs to be squared away right now, because all of that shit is what helps get business done.
Absolutely. No, I have a lot of people who like have come to me and I'm sure as part of your job, right? You say like, "Oh, I'm a lender, let me take you out to lunch and try to earn your
Mhm.
business," or I'm a, different professions, right? And
Mhm.
I've been someone who's from day one been very loyal to my people who do a good job for me.
Mhm.
And I think I've had my go-to real estate attorney, Christine Morgan, since day
Mhm.
one. And even when I've been addressed by other people to use them for business. I just can't do it because she's just does the job and she's amazing and she's loyal. And when it comes to like lenders, like I think I went through like a dozen before I met, the guy that I typically refer. Not that I don't throw your name out too, but like he's been doing an amazing job for me for a while. So it's so hard to just not be loyal to someone for that. And because when they do their job and it makes the process streamlined, it makes you look good too, right?
Exactly.
It's just a no-brainer. So.
It makes you look good, and this is something that took me a little bit of time. But it was initially, it was like, hey, like I when I like I said, when I started, I was crap. Just messed everything up. Nobody should have ever sent me any business.
Yeah.
And fortunately, where I was, like I was working at a bank, they just wanted to work with the bank. It was a good spot for me to learn what not to do. But then, you get a little bit better, and take somebody like yourself. It's like, like, hey Nicole, like, let's do some business together. It's like, like, Matt, we get along. Well, all this stuff. I think you probably do a great job, but like, I'm happy with my guy right now, or girl, and it's, yeah, like, now it's, if I go try to talk to an agent and they're like, yeah, absolutely, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, red flags are all over the place. Like, why doesn't this person have a lender
Yeah.
they're comfortable with,
Yeah.
and that they're loyal to?
Sure. Yeah.
Like, and it's just like, it's really, now it's like, if somebody's that easy to start working with,
Yeah. They're probably either a new agent, right? Or
yeah, definitely,
or they suck themselves to work with.
exactly, and that's like, I'll still work with new agents.
Yeah.
Like, I still do today. It's just not necessarily who I'm
Trying to work with.
trying to work with,
Yeah.
new relationships I'm trying to develop. But the more established people, it's, there was a post on Facebook about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Somebody saying, I had 2 lenders let me down this week alone. And one of the comments was like, "Oh girl, like, that's nothing. I went through
Oh, girl.
I went through 27." Right?
27?
And I was talking with a coworker, who may or may not have been one of the people that agent was pissed off at that week,
my God.
right? And, like, in our opinion, something foolish, not really the lender's fault.
Right.
But his question was like, "Wait, but who is this lady? Like, you went through 27 people, and never once,
many
like,
red
did you
flags.
think it might be you
right?
that, you went through 26 before you found somebody?" So it's it genuinely, I think it's the most important thing right now, the team you're working with. But it's kind of comical how it gets there.
All right. So let's get back to basics with people talking about, because I either work with a lot of first time home buyers
Mhm.
or I work with people who maybe have to sell a house for, estate sale reasons, or they want to downsize, or whatever reason. I work with them, but a lot of first time home buyers lately. And I would say, if they were considering getting into the home buying process and I send them to you, what are some things that they need to know that they have to be ready to have, or that they should be prepared to talk about with you?
Yeah, so in terms of, like, that they need to have ready, nothing. Genuinely, we start everything off with just a conversation. That being said, most first time buyers know if they're in a position to buy or not. Right? And,
You'd be surprised.
and what I mean by that is, like, somebody that's, I don't know, somebody that's not financially in a stable position, has an overdrawn checking account. That kind of stuff happens. I get it. It's happened to me in the past.
Yeah.
But when my checking account was overdrawn, I never thought I should talk to somebody about buying a house.
Right.
So the first time buyers, my opinion, I think it's more so just, like, obviously they're talking with folks like you, but it's like, just be open to a conversation.
Right.
Don't go in there with any, predetermined outcomes or timelines, or, you know uh, 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 really just outcomes and timelines. Because most of the time, the only time there's a contentious pre-approval process, somebody comes out like, "Oh yeah, like, somebody told me you don't need to run a credit to do a pre-approval," and it's like, well, if you do a soft pull, like, everybody has that capability now.
Yeah.
What people don't tell you is the reason why it's only a soft pull is because it's less money.
Yeah.
Right? So every time we pull a credit report, it costs $200, $300.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, it depends on how many people are on there, what you have to update, things like that. But
Right.
it's very expensive, right? Mortgage lenders, that was the one group of people that it went up the most on when they changed this stuff earlier in the year.
Wow.
So what everybody did start offering soft credit pulls. And what a soft credit pull, right?
It doesn't ding your credit though,
It
right?
doesn't ding your credit.
Yeah.
It only provides one trade line. I'm sorry, one bureau.
Yeah.
So like when we do a soft credit pull, it's only through TransUnion.
Yeah.
Everything
But
that
that's
you're,
like the primary one, right?
they're all three equally important.
Right. Okay.
And what the problem is, different cards, right? Say revolving accounts, collection accounts, different thing. When I say revolving credit cards, collection accounts, things like that, they don't all report to all the credit bureaus.
Hmm.
So you can have, you get your TransUnion score. One, everybody has 3 scores. They vary wildly. But with your TransUnion score, it might not factor in, not even anything bad, but just a large payment you have. We do a pre-approval for you, get under contract, then we pull your real credit report,
Oh yeah.
and it doesn't work because XYZ card wasn't reporting to TransUnion. It only reported to Equifax and Experian.
Shit. So yeah, you have to do that full
Right.
hard credit pull,
So
right?
my advice, it's always their decision.
Right.
But if it's a soft credit pull, like that team I was talking about, like you make an offer. We call the listing agent, like, hey, this buyer's solid. We've looked at income, assets, credit. Like that person,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, excuse me, we looked at income, assets, and one credit bureau.
Yeah.
And then like, hey, well, what about
So
credit?
you really have to like have the understanding that that person's being really honest with you about
It-
not having crazy debt or whatever.
Exactly.
If you're going to do the soft pull, right? Because you would really need to do the hard pull just to know everything.
And for most people, easily, I would say 95 out of 100 people, a hard pull is not going to negatively impact them for what they're trying to do.
Right.
Right. So in my opinion, it's a moot point. The whole point of a pre-approval, and again, this goes back to having no preconceived notions about what it is.
Yeah.
Is it to get a piece of paper? Yes. But that's not really what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about making sure every single thing is in order
Yeah.
so you don't have a problem down the road when you start spending money. And when deposits are on the line, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Like, waiving a mortgage contingency, something like that. Like nobody likes to do that stuff, but
Right.
you have to do it sometimes.
Right.
Like you can't be wrong.
I never did
on
that with any of
pre-approval.
my clients.
That's good.
I had people say to me that I need your clients to do this. And I was like, what happens if they get in like a major car accident that stops them from like ever being able to work again?
Mhm. Yeah.
And then they're just not protected and they can't get to their deposit back. Like, no, I'm sorry. Like in the what if scenario, I'm not comfortable letting people waive their mortgage contingency.
Mhm.
It was just like the one thing that like I think there's certain things in real estate that like should be illegal. I think
I agree.
people should have to do home inspections. I think it should be a state or a nationwide law that you cannot buy a house without a home inspection. I literally hate telling people
Mhm.
that it is maybe in your best interest to get the offer accepted that if you were comfortable waiving a home inspection due to me seeing the house and seeing a great condition house, that I would feel comfortable with you waiving a home inspection or doing it without a contingency or after purchase and sales.
Mhm.
Like I hate doing that, but I've had to do that so much in the last couple of years, like it makes me sick to my stomach. But I've only done it on houses where I'm like, I've seen hundreds of houses.
Mhm.
I know that the sellers have taken meticulous care of this house.
Mhm.
And I really, on my daughter's life, can say that I don't foreshadow seeing anything major popping up at a home inspection on this house.
Mhm.
Now, am I a home inspector? No, right? Like I'm not looking behind walls. I'm not fucking checking for major termite issues. So you never know, but like 9 out of 10 times I could probably spot a major issue.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
I would
hate that.
agree. And I said it earlier today, so I'm going to laugh when I say this, but sound like a broken record.
Yeah.
But it gets back to the team and who you're working with.
Right.
That's the most important right now, because you wouldn't do that to somebody.
No, I don't
Right.
want to do that. And if I do, it's only because I would do it myself. Right?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
absolutely.
no, I fully, understand where you're coming from. Like you genuinely are trying to do the best job possible for your clients.
Yep.
There are a whole bunch of people in our industry
Oh my
that
God.
do not think like that. Like on both of our sides.
Yeah.
we've talked about barrier to entry is way too low,
Yeah.
and it just turns into a shit show sometimes.
Yeah. No, yeah. Me and Matt had this conversation the other day regarding the fact that we both think it's really sad that there's people in our industry who very blatantly are doing this for the wrong reasons, right? It's all about money. And we both have just like way too much of a conscience and care too much about people that, yeah, we could probably be a lot more successful than we
100%,
are if we just
100%.
didn't care as much about people.
100%.
Because I know people for a fact who will tell people to buy lipstick on a pig, right?
Mhm.
Because they just want a commission check. And it's really sad. I will 100% all day tell a client, do not make an offer on that house if I think that there's going to be issues that pop up, because I would rather wait for them to find the right house that is a good fit and they can have a happy experience with it and it turns into a good situation, and then rehire me and refer their family and friends for the next 7 to 10 years than for them to buy a shit stick and then
Yeah.
to blame me for the rest of their life.
Exactly.
No, like,
Yeah.
and there's agents out there who don't give a shit. And they would just say, I would rather just get that commission check now and you can hate me for the rest of your life and never refer me again. And I don't care. Because I just keep doing this on auto repeat.
And
Sad.
yeah, it's sad, and it it's not. I don't even know if this is a word. I think it's categorical statement. I don't know if that sounds right.
Sounds
But-
legit. I don't know.
But it's in my experience.
Yeah.
right, like I've always been drawn to building a referral based business.
100%. Well,
I-
we're
I-
at the similar age where we have to
Mhm.
consider that too, right? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and like when I first got started, like after I left the bank, went to a place that had a very big, uh, co-marketing spend on Zillow with a certain office. I got every one of the leads, right, directly to my inbox. Uh, it was insane, and I was like, I don't want to live like this,
yeah.
right? But it's most of the time,
Yeah.
most of the time, like how people get business is a very good indicator of like how well they treat their clients.
Yeah, true.
Right? Like if somebody's constantly getting past client referrals, current client referrals,
Yeah.
things like that, chances are they're doing a very good
I
job.
will say it depends on like how long they've been in the business too, right? Because like when I first got into the business, I did the Zillow leads. I did that because I just didn't have the referral base I did now
Mhm.
6 years into the business, right? So now I don't do any of that stuff. I don't pay for any leads.
Mhm.
All my leads are organic,
Yeah.
So I don't blame a newer agent for doing that. But once you've been in the business long enough, like I see a lot of these top teams who are paying a lot of money for Zillow leads. And it blows my mind.
Well, it's just you're paying X amount of money per month for new leads that you're converting at 2-3%,
Especially when there's
maybe
no
10%.
inventory for
And
your
there's-
buyers.
There's no inventory.
So you're paying, I know some people are paying 10 grand a month for
Yeah.
Zillow leads. And the amount of inventory to get those buyers those houses is like next to none. So you're going to pay 10 grand a month to off chance maybe getting a buyer a house every 6 months.
Mhm.
It's insane.
It is. Where if you didn't pay that, and instead, allocated a portion of that money
Yeah.
to somebody, systems and processes like we talked about today about,
Right.
past client outreaches, current client outreach, things like that to
Yeah.
get that organically.
Absolutely.
It's just a completely different business model.
Yeah.
And it's it's not everybody by any means. It's just it's usually a fairly good indicator.
What questions do you have for me?
Yeah. So with with what you're saying, about like possibly finding somebody a home every 6 months, things like that in this market,
Mhm.
did like the 3-part question. First part, over the last 12 months,
Yep.
when the market changed, right? What was your biggest like aha moment over the last 12 months?
Yeah, I think for me this year, and I know a lot of my colleagues struggled this year.
Mhm.
For me, it wasn't that different of a year. The only difference I would say this year was versus like my last couple years where I had like really good years was that most of my business previous years was like people selling their first homes and getting bigger homes. This year, I didn't have any,
No.
not a single one, because people love their interest rate on their mortgage more than they love their house.
Mhm.
So people are just not justifying upsizing houses right now or downsizing for that fact. Like I have a handful of people who want to downsize from these 3 to 4,000 square foot houses or bigger, and they just don't want to leave their cheap mortgage payment right now.
Mhm.
But I would say other than that, realizing that that's different, I think it's just maybe making more of a focus on my people this year,
Mhm.
um, and just realizing I did a kind of an inventory of my last couple years' sales and like where all my business came from, and realizing that like almost all of my business over the last 2 years came from personal referrals, or people who just know me
Mhm.
from previous stages of my life or whatever it is, and just realizing like I just really need to like love on those people more and like remind them like that I'm in real estate and that I genuinely love what I do. And I
Yep.
think that that's been the the biggest thing I've just changed this year. But other than that, like it hasn't been a really major difference for business for me.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
and to your first point,
Yeah.
100% accurate. We chatted about that where somebody bought a home 4 years ago, where their payment is, what that home's worth now,
Yeah.
getting upsizing, like, their mortgage payment would increase more than their current mortgage payment.
Oh yeah. It's insane.
Right? So there's not very much trading up, in this market.
It makes
But
me sick to myself, and I tell people that all the time, like and also considering that moving forward, right? Like,
Mhm.
because potentially what we're looking at for the next couple of years is interest rates coming back down, right? Is like we don't have a magic crystal ball, but like that's the goal, right?
Mhm.
I think, and we've talked about this, is that when interest rates come back down into the fives again, we're going to see this huge influx of buyers coming back into the market
Mhm.
again, which they've all kind of backed off now. And I really think we're going to see home prices increase another 10 to 20% when that happens, because it's not going to fix an inventory issue. Maybe like going to increase it a tiny bit, but not nearly enough from what it needs to be for the buyer demand. And I think we're going to start seeing multiple offers again, and we're going to see home price increase. And I keep telling people, I'm like, buy the house now at the prices that you're getting it at, with home sale contingencies and inspections and all these
Mhm.
things, so that 2 years from now, when you waited, you're actually, even though your interest rate's cheaper, your monthly payment's going to be more expensive.
No, and that's 100% spot on,
Yeah.
right?
People
And
don't think of it like that.
my like part question was the what's the biggest missed opportunity? Like,
Yeah.
do you think, right? And for me, I think you may have answered it because you talked about loving on your people,
Yeah.
right? Which I think is fantastic because it's like my side of it. It's just been really trying to develop deeper relationships,
Yeah.
right? But uh, like aside from that, the biggest missed opportunity. Somebody posted this on Facebook. I know you have before, but somebody posted it, and I sent him a message. I was like, "Keep saying this. Like, not enough people are saying this right now."
Yeah.
But exactly what you just said, where you know, right now, huge inventory problem. That's not going away. That's been building, since around 2015, 2016. It's not getting better.
I don't know, like, when that's gonna get better.
I genuinely, and it scares me. I had this conversation with a client 2 days ago. I, I really hope it does.
But, like,
I
how? Like, that's what I
exactly
don't even understand, like, how it could actually happen.
exactly, and that's what
Because what we
scares me.
need to do is, like, a lot of foreclosures, right?
Mhm.
Which they've been putting off this forbearance thing for, like, forever. We're not even gonna get into that
Mhm.
situation, right? Like, we need a shit ton of foreclosures to happen. We need people just to, like, die and sell their
Yeah,
house,
yeah.
right? We need people to downsize, but there's nowhere for them to go, and they can't afford to. So, like,
Exactly.
unless all these towns all of a sudden come up with this, like, this crazy availability of, like, senior housing, I just don't see it happening.
No, and just to throw something into that, like that whole downsizing
Yeah.
thing, I think what a wrench being thrown into that's new is companies pushing reverse mortgages, right? Because downsizing forever made the most sense. Like you've got a 4,000 square foot home, empty nesters, whatever. We want to get out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what you mean by reverse mortgage? Explain that, because like I know the gist of it, but
It-
most people won't. So
Essentially, reverse mortgage. You you get either a payment or a payment stream based on the equity in your home, right? So you take somebody that would, like again, conversation I was having 2 days ago. You just mentioned it. People dying off to free up inventory. It sounds terrible,
yeah,
but the boomers are in that like demographic, and it's like some of them are 70, 75. Like we're gonna wait 15, 20 years, right?
sold
But
6 houses this year from people who
Mhm.
just unfortunately passed away, and their
Yeah.
children are now selling their houses. You know,
Yeah.
they've owned the houses for like 50 years. It's crazy.
Exactly. And like, is that the solution to our problem? Like, that's not a quick fix.
No.
Now, what people can do, why a lot of people sell, is because they can't afford a home anymore.
Right.
Right? Property taxes, insurance, maintenance, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they'll try to sell, downsize. Problem right now, there's nowhere to downsize to, and it's not as cost effective as it could be.
Or like move into a different state or something,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
Yep. So where the monkey wrench comes in, reverse mortgage, that person can stay in their home, receive an income stream from the lender. I'm completely making this up, but say they have $500,000 in equity.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, okay, you get X amount of money today and X amount of money per month for the next 200 months.
Wow.
Right? And that's just, they use that in addition to a pension, retirement savings, Social Security,
Yeah.
to be able to afford to live
In their own home or to
in their own home.
Yeah.
And then when they pass away or move out, going to assisted living,
Yeah.
something like that, that reverse mortgage gets paid off.
they're just gonna screw their kids.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. A bunch of, well, you laugh. I got a phone call.
So true,
I got
right?
a phone
Like
call.
that's what we all hope for. It's like someday
I-
our parents are gonna die and leave us like these.
I got
huge
a phone
nest
call
eggs.
probably
Love
about
you,
a
Mom.
year ago. I genuinely, I love this lady dearly. But she calls me, and her transaction was very tough.
Yeah.
Like, very, very difficult. But she calls me, her father not doing well, hasn't talked to him in 20 years. Calls her, tells her, like, hey, I'm going to die soon, but the house is yours. And she started asking me all kinds of questions about reverse mortgages. I'm like, I have no fucking clue. I don't write them. I'm not allowed to write them. We have a division within movement that handles that stuff.
Yeah.
But the gist of it was, well, he's giving me the house, but I'm not getting anything, so it doesn't mean anything. It's like, okay, okay.
Yeah, because what happens if someone's been doing that for a long time, right?
Mhm.
And then they go to sell, and not only is like they're like no equity left, but then they have to pay like broker fees on top of it. And so like you're not only like not giving your kids something, but now you're screwing them.
Yeah. So
It's probably not that extreme,
yeah,
right? But
my
like
my understanding, like there are policies, procedures
Yeah.
in place that
you can only
like,
take a certain percentage of it. or something
exactly
like
only
that.
a certain percentage, and
That makes sense.
they're assuming appreciation in the future.
All right.
But yeah, like that's another thing that's going to impact the the inventory,
Yeah.
because that's the biggest issue right now. It's not getting better. I don't my rates get lower. People start putting homes on the market to sell up to a bigger house.
Yeah.
First time buyers will have a benefit, right, because they're going to have more inventory, typically in like that lower price
Yeah, but
price
then
range.
the downsizers are also going for those first time homebuyer houses.
Downsizers
right?
are going for them. but I don't know the stat on this, but I would imagine it has to be 95+ % of people looking to trade up, like, they're gonna trade up in the same geographical area.
Yeah. Which
So
makes
so
they could do
a
that.
seller becomes a buyer.
Yeah.
We get more inventory, but we also add somebody to the demand side of the
Yeah.
equation, which just fucks everybody.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. I mean, I don't see an end in sight, unfortunately.
No, so
And people are like, I had people last year who would come to open houses, and like this lady and her husband was literally like almost fighting with me about the fact
Mhm.
that he's like, we're having a housing market crash. It's happening. Blah blah blah. I was like, all right, come check in with me a year, 2 year, 3 year from now, and let me know how that's going because they were like adamant on selling their house and downsizing because they were so convinced that they were going to lose value on their house.
Mhm.
And I'm like, dude, it's not happening.
No,
I don't know what you're listening to, but it's not
no,
happening.
and it's like that biggest missed opportunity. I was, in my opinion, we're not educating people on what's actually happening,
Yeah.
right? Like people are waiting for rates to drop.
When they're reading
Wait,
headlines, right? Like they're
exactly.
seeing news stories and these like catch-all things that like people just like want to just like and they only just read the headline, right? They don't go into reading the real. If they read the actual story or talk to a professional, they would understand that the headline doesn't even give a glimpse into what's the situation. You know?
Yeah, and actually, there's a really funny story about that. Um, I don't know it now, so I sound like an idiot. But there's a CNN anchor that has been calling since 2016
Yep.
every single year at a varying time has come out and said, "Don't buy a home this year. Market's going to crash."
This is CNN.
CNN,
Wow.
like a pundit on CNN saying that home prices are up over 50% since 2019.
Yeah.
It's just like, what are you doing?
So
Just
dumb.
every year the same story.
I have so many clients that if they could have gone back to 2019, 2020 when the housing just like exploded and bought a house at 2.75% interest rate at the prices they were then, they would sell their firstborn child to do that. And now they're looking at 8% interest rate and the prices are even more expensive than they were back then and they're kicking themselves in the ass. So it's like I keep telling people this over and over again like there's no crystal ball and there is no magic wand to like predict what's going to happen in real estate, but I can guarantee you if you just understand like what we're seeing as professionals on a daily basis that there's no foreshadowing of an actual market crash and homes devaluing over 20% anytime in the near future. This is not 2008. You guys are overqualifying. You guys are over, what was the word I'm looking for? Qualifying people now to make sure that they're allowed to have their mortgages because that's what happened in 2008 is right as people were getting loans that they shouldn't have been getting.
So I'm sorry to cut you off,
Yeah,
but
no, you're good.
they shouldn't have been getting. And we were building 1 million homes too many per year
Yeah.
for the 2 years leading up to the
Yeah.
financial crash.
Yeah.
Right? Like currently today, per Zillow's chief economist, we're 4 to 5 million homes short
Right.
throughout the country.
So too much inventory, not qualifying.
Not qualifying
buyers enough,
exactly
right?
leads to the crash.
Yeah.
Today we have overqualified buyers, 4 to 5 million homes short, too little inventory. That's why we've seen rates go from 3 to 8 and home prices increase. Like Metro Boston area alone, 150,000 homes short.
Yeah.
Right? So that stuff is not getting fixed anytime soon.
No.
It's not getting fixed. And I'm sure you've seen it. The last 2 days I've seen it way too many times. I don't know who posted it first, but I actually went on the Fed website to check it and make sure it was real. There was a meme type thing going around. 1971, interest rates were at 7.3%. If you waited to buy, and interest rates were at 7.3.
Yep.
The average home price was $32,000. Right? If you waited for rates to fall, at that point, you would have waited till 1993 to get back under 7.3%. And by 1993, the average sale price was over $125,000.
Wow, that statistics are crazy.
Right? So like there is no crystal ball. We
Don't-
we think we have an idea of what's happening,
Oh my God.
but it's
The
you know,
moral of the story is don't wait. Buy a house when you're financially like can afford to, when it's right for you and your family, and then just when it makes sense. And then the biggest thing I think right now I keep telling people is like, don't buy a house if you're planning on moving in 2 years, right?
Correct.
Like
Yep.
buy a house if you see yourself there for 7 to 10 plus years, because no matter what happens with the market between now and then, you will build some sort of equity between now and then.
Mhm.
But if you're gonna move in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, don't do it,
Mhm.
right? Like probably not the best time for you, you know, just
It-
because you'll get no equity or
well,
expect no return.
it's probably
right?
not a bad time, but the probability, the
Right.
chance of something
Okay.
bad happening is higher,
Right. True.
right?
Okay.
But yes, like if you can be somewhere for 5 to 10 years, like 100% buy a home if you can afford it.
Yeah.
Because every month you're paying down principal.
Yeah.
Again, the 50-year average is a little over 4% for appreciation.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen every year.
Right.
But, on average, like take 2008, the crash, the worst hit areas, it was around 2015 before they were positive with equity again. Right. And that's, so 7 years for that crash. We're not expecting anything like that because this is a completely different structurally
Right.
compared to that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I will say is like, I don't think it's a bad time to buy. I would just probably restructure where people are buying, right? So like I have a lot of first time home buyers, and if they're only going to be there for like 2 to 5 years, I'm going to be like, let's buy a condo first. Let's buy a townhouse first. It's low maintenance. It's probably not going to appreciate too much, and it's not going to depreciate. You can also turn that into a rental opportunity when you upsize, right? Instead of selling it and trying to make a big bunch of like equity, which is probably not going to happen, if you can save enough money and have a low enough monthly payment now, you can turn into a rental property, which is a huge opportunity for the down the road, and then you can just upsize when the time comes. So I think that makes more sense for the short term, and that's what I direct people to do. But if it's over that time frame, then yeah, you're fine.
And you're spot on with that, because like the numbers when you model this all out,
Yeah.
assuming any kind of normal market, it's like 5 to 7 years on a $500,000 purchase.
Yeah.
Where you're $50,000-$70,000 ahead.
Yeah.
Right. You get up to that 10-year mark, like you're in that 150, 180
Yeah.
range.
Yeah.
So like that's where, okay, even if we're 10-20% off of 180, we're still making a bunch of money.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We're at 5 years, we're at 60,
Right.
and we're off by 20, 30%.
Oh yeah.
It's not going to be as
No, yeah. I might just thought it was like 2, 3 years. You only get $30,000 in equity, and then you have to pay that much in broker fees.
Exactly.
Doesn't make sense to sell
Yep.
again, so.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. What other questions you got before we head out?
Well, we've covered a lot of them.
I feel like I could do this all night with you.
Yeah, no, we've covered a lot of them.
Like, are we gonna go around 2 drinks? This could get dangerous.
Yeah, no, I guess the biggest, you gave it to me, but your opinion, what is a buyer or seller that whatever, might want to reach out to you, however that works.
Yeah.
What is the one thing you like want them to know, or you think is the most important thing they should know, like with what's either going on right now or about like reaching out to you or any agent?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, like, there's a stigma around real estate agents that like we're like these like sleazy salespeople, and like people don't want to like talk to us. Like, I think I even have people at the gym who are like, "How's real estate doing?" Right? Like, they don't really want to know, but they're just being nice about it. Like, I think the biggest thing is like I am never going to be the someone who's like going to force someone to buy or sell a house. Like, I don't even think that's a thing. Like, if anyone thinks that they can convince someone to buy or sell a house when they're not ready, like, you are a fucking Houdini of real estate, right? Like, I wish I could. I don't wish I could do it. I don't wish I could do this. I just can't imagine that happening, right? But for me, I think if you're considering buying or selling a house, like, just reach out, because I would love to just have a conversation with someone. I would love to educate them. I would love to help guide them in the direction of what makes sense for them. And I think people understanding that, like, again, I'm not a sleazy salesperson. I'm just here to be an advisor when you need me. And that's why I think my business is successful as it is, because I really just focus on letting my people know that I like real estate. I love what I do. I think I'm good at what I do. My clients think I'm good at what I do. And that when the time comes is that they like think of me first.
Mhm.
So if you're thinking of buying or selling, just like reach out and let's just have a conversation because there's no right or wrong time. It's just when it makes sense for you and like making the right plan for you, I think is the biggest thing. So yeah.
Yeah. No, it's spot on. It's somewhat, definitely irrelevant. Not irrelevant, off topic. But sort of clip of Ted Lasso. Did you watch that show?
No, I've heard
No.
so much about it though.
It's good. Anyway, he beat somebody in a dart game, right? And he says he was underestimated his whole life, right? But that said more about the people who were doing it. But it was quote he used. I think it was Whitman. I'm not sure, but it was "Be curious, not judgmental." Right? But it's just just have conversations.
Yeah.
Like we're here to help people.
Yeah.
We're not here to make anybody do something they don't want to do.
Oh my God.
We're gonna figure out what's in their best interest.
Absolutely.
So it's just that conversation is the most important piece.
Yeah. No, for sure. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. This was fun. And thank you guys for watching. And if you guys want to get a pre-approval, feel free to reach out to Matt. I'll put his info in the comments below. And have a good night.
Yes. Good night. Thank you.
Cheers. Empty glasses.